Hello everybody, welcome back once again to New Millennia here in the West Antarctic, and we have completed one of our new helms. That window doesn't quite look like it, but I assure you, it is very much there. It's on the polarizing side so that you don't get too blinded in here, and there's one or two shortcomings with this particular layout. I think we could theoretically kill two birds with one stone by having a survival kit in here. That's the things that are actually mounted inside of Sycamore 1 and the like. But obviously it's a mite more useful when it is full-sized as opposed to the size that we actually have in the landers. It's just a slight problem of it's not a complete cube module, so if I try and put it anywhere in here, it's going to pretty much will breach containment. Actually, you're gonna get a horrid draft. So I'm not 100% certain what I'll be doing that, but meanwhile, there's a kitchen, there's a bathroom, we have a shower here. If anybody moves in that needs to like actually have a bath, if they have trouble standing for protracted periods, for instance, then that's something that we can fix up. We do have disabled rails and all sorts around here, and we also have a bedroom with some storage, not exactly much for a view, I grant you, but still, it's there, and it functions. And as you might have noticed, all of the doors auto-close. Thank you. That's because under here we actually have a programmable block, which is not unlike the one actually inside of the Avondale. So that is just programmed to make sure these doors stay generally closed at a decent time period. And we have lights, we have sofas, we have most of the accoutrement that people will be needing around here. There's a battery, there's a power supply, there's independent of any grid. This should do nicely. Again, not perfect. We'll have to figure out what to do about actually getting storage plus like crafting together, because that is more or less a constitutional right of everybody here. So we want to make sure that we actually like give that from day one, as it were. But we're not going to be making more on this just yet. We've got our proof of concept, as it were, out here, our prototype. If there is anybody that happens to have access to a cargo plane to drop a Sycamore lander over here in West Antarctica, hey, I've got a room for you. But the main problem I have right now is that here is the residential district, and over there, where we actually craft everything, is the industrial district, which is nearly 10 kilometers away. And getting into the Avondale and flying it all over there is perfectly fine and doable, but it is more than a little bit of a pain in the neck, suffice it to say. It's literally like, I don't know, like a 10-second, like a 10-second, maybe like 1 minute, a couple minutes, that kind of thing, commute, and I'm complaining. Yes, but also I'm the only person here, and I'm having to drive this back and forth so frequently. So frequently. So, I think that we are going to want to work today on, essentially, public transit. We're going to be wanting some kind of shuttle that carries between the residential and the industrial districts so that people can get to and from to get their large-scale projects and such worked on and whatnot, as and how they wish. And that will mean that I can't trust anybody driving something. So we're going to try and work with the autopilot system, and not dreadfully confident, I have to say. It might be a bumpy ride, but we're going to try. And let me see if I can just get this a little bit more on target. There you go, there you go. Most of what I'm doing here is just feathering the vertical throttle so that that little circle with the lines coming out of it looks kind of like a plane, I guess. In my top middle screen is above the line, which is essentially, well, officially that's the horizon, but in layman's terms, it's the part where things start to drop out of the sky. And yeah, we're already over here. It's just been like, what, 2 minutes? I have not been timing this, but I do actually need to descend because we are currently about 2,000, we're very high up, basically. And the higher up the Avondale gets, the worse its engines work. Because they are atmospheric, and they need air. They are highly dependent upon the available density of air. But as you can maybe make out a little bit down there, we do have a little bit of work to report over here at the industrial area. We have added 9 actually total, new wind turbines to the crafter. And that, our little production facility, I believe is now, barring the addition of ice to the hydrogen facility, is now essentially the big power generator over here. It's not quite as big, I think, as our old like mining pit that we had, but you know, it's useful nonetheless, and that means that things are staying charged a bit better. But okay, so we're going to need 3 things before we actually get very far here. We're going to need 2 docking stations, one over here and one over at the residential district where our shuttle can actually park itself temporarily between traveling. And then we're going to need a shuttle to park there in between traveling and to also do the traveling. And that is obviously going to take a little bit of engineering. So let me just finish parking the colossal buttock that is, there you are, the Avondale. And I will get to work on that. So, catch you all in a little bit. And there we have it, the first passenger shuttle of New Millennia, and it is definitely a chunky boy. It is also literally just a box with thrusters, so really it'll do okay. Now, I probably do want to put a gyroscope on this thing, because whilst it is mostly going to be relegated to going backwards and forwards, we probably want to make sure that it does so in the correct direction. So let's just plonk. Right, of course. Steel? We should have steel. We mostly lack silicon, honestly. Since the iron mine got through most of the stone and ice at the top, at like the top layers, it has pretty much produced more or less no silicon. And we have naturally been using a lot of it for, especially Windows, but also like computer components. So, it's a thing to be concerned about. Is that done? No, it is not. Okay, what is missing? A motor. Yeah, motors require silicon. What'd I say? There you go. Okay. And let's just move that out of the way now, because now it's a liability. So let's... Where are you? There. Okay. What are these all over ones set to? 25. I can never remember. So once that drops below 25, we want to set the upper limit to 25, because if we set it before then, it might have a little bit of a tantrum. Okay, and you want to get back down to 0, please? There we go. Okay. So now that that's out of the way, this has rotational control, it has lateral control, all of which is about the same rate, and then it has up and down, which is technically the strongest motion it has. It does not have much in the way of power, but it does have an antenna that we can use to take control of it. How are these batteries doing? Depleted in 3 hours, okay. Alright, well, let's use the remote control and see if we can take control of it. So, apparently it has about 18 minutes or so of thrust. But that's because it doesn't really have much in the way of charge right now. Okay. That was the wrong button. I just shut off... Well, firstly, I shut this off, and this has no controls on it. Secondly, I shut the manufacturing off, and probably everything connected to it. Wait, does that... I wonder if that means I shut off the connector. Oh, lord. Let's check. Let's find out. Because if this is turned off, then we're probably gonna run out of power soon. No, they look good. They look good. Okay. I probably just shut off the entire area, honestly. Oh. Okay, so I think I'm gonna need to have at least some degree of temporary control seat in here. So let's, I need just like a regular control seat, I think. I turned off power, so I can't open the door. Oh lord, okay. Turn the batteries on. There we go. Ah. Yeah, it's more spacious, I think. It's definitely, it's not quite as cramped as the Avondale. Okay, and I need interior plate to make this. Let me just add that there. That should help me out. Okay, that is forwards as far as the remote control is concerned. And we're not going to be doing too much with this just yet. We just want to make sure that we actually have it. This control seat will be going away. Although it is pretty cushy compared to the passenger seats, it has to be said. Okay. So now, I should be able to move this passenger shuttle. Now what we're going to do, for the moment, is shift the Avondale, and then have it just sit where the Avondale usually recharges. Because the Avondale can handle, like, being parked for a good few days. There we go. 10 days. That's fine. I will need significantly less than that for this. Also, the weather has been horrid lately, but, you know, we deal with that on a regular basis. That's not terribly surprising. Okay. Gears off. And we're not a very speedy thing, but we should be able to make it over to there in under 10 minutes. Lord willing. Okay. Yeah, verticals are definitely our strong suit with this thing. There we go, and lock. Okay. Now these batteries should be recharging. Yep, fully charged in 11 minutes. Very good, very good. Okay, so the way we're going to be doing this is that we're going to have landing pads that are very much similar to this, although maybe a little bit more level with the ground than the Avondale's usually is. And then we'll be setting from the remote control some GPS waypoints. So one at the connector where it then connects, one above the connector where it then descends, ideally at a slow pace, and then we'll be setting another one over by the residential district, which is over in that direction, about 10 kilometers. And similar thing over again, and then basically we just set these to circle. So we just add those waypoints in, it goes to 1, moves over, goes down, goes up, yep, same story. So with that, and a quick little programmable block script to close and keep the doors closed when the thing isn't actually, like, landed or connected, one of the two, either or, really. We should have a thing that is able to go from A to B and back and forth without much human intervention. I will have to be careful because, of course, the terrain between here and there is a little bit on the mountainous side, so we might have to tell it to go up in the middle there somewhere. But yeah, so we need to now set up essentially a docking pad for this shuttle. Now, where are we going to put this first base station? It needs to be relatively equidistant, I would say, to all three of these structures, but it needs to not necessarily get in the way of traffic, because of course it's going to be its own little piece of traffic. I'm tempted to say that we should put it somewhere over here, so it's decently close to manufacturing, and it's about walking distance, really, to everywhere else. It's not right next to them, but it should be decently enough out of the way. So, let's start by... do I want this to be aligned? Probably want this to be aligned. So, I'm going to need some steel, and very shortly some more gas. Oh boy, I've become so heavily dependent on hydrogen. Weird. You wouldn't expect it, considering I certainly did not come from a culture that has it, but, you know, here we are. Okay. To about there, I think. Okay. And let's try and get a nice flat space to work with here. It needs to be a decent size. And other than that, it actually just needs to be very simple, because we just need a battery, a connector, and some means of powering both, ideally. So let's just rotate to there. Okay, and if we fix this up, we should be able to get this running to the point where we should be able to actually connect it. The shuttle is now fully charged. I spent a little bit of time in it working on programming. So now I've managed to get the doors to work pretty neatly. Okay, just need the motors, please. Need a walkway around here, really, don't I? Just so I can actually get into there a bit easier. Okay, right. Now this has power because it's currently connected to manufacturing, but let's see if we can actually get this to connect, or if I'm going to have to do a bit of a funky job down here. Okay, so when we take off... there we go. Yep, we can see both of the doors have actually closed, which is very grand. They will... you can still... oh, excuse me, Rover. They will still open if you open them, but they'll also close themselves after a little while there, sort of like the Avondale does. Okay, and we're just looking... whoop. We're fine, we're fine. We're just looking to see if we can get the connector to hook up here. And it does... oh, I'm way off that spot. There we go. Okay, and the doors open when you land, which is nice. And here they don't actually auto-close at all. It's... but they'll... so if it's, like, snowing, if it's bad weather, you can close them yourself. But okay, right, good start, good start. So now we need a battery, which we can, I guess, plonk about here. And then on top of that, we're going to need probably a wind turbine to make sure that this whole thing is actually capable of running hell or high water, as the case may be. So let's get to work putting this together. And wind turbines are probably going to be a little bit of a concern, really, because we have so many of them, and I'm beginning to wonder if that might be problematic for our air, like, just sort of our air traffic, really. Okay, we need computers and we need power cells. I do not know if we have enough of the silicon to make any of it, honestly. We don't see... well, I'm not seeing any of it inside of here, so I'm guessing we're fine and dandy. So let's get the gremlin to make this, because power cells are heavy. Oh yeah, we do. Grand. Okay. Into the cargo container, then. And try not to bash into the shuttle, thank you very much. There we go, okay. Let's park you back over here. Where I still probably need to build you a more dedicated docking port. Come on, a little lower. There we go. Okay. That's probably what's eating most of my hydrogen, honestly. Okay, so that battery should be recharging at the moment. Recharged in 10 minutes. Very good, very good. Current stored power, 1.03 megawatts and climbing. Very nice. Okay, so the idea is going to be that these are completely separate things, that they are not necessarily connected to actual structures. They theoretically could be. I'm not going to rule that out, but we want these pads to be basically standalone. So we just have a battery and a wind turbine, and we can plonk these wherever we like, and then we can just have a shuttle carry up to it. So we need more steel, I think. Fortunately, we have a lot more steel. And then we need to build a wind turbine on this in such a fashion that ideally the shuttle is never going to ram into it. Which I suppose is mostly a function of how tall I build it. I always forget this requires interior plate, doesn't it? Well, as long as I've got the gas. No, no interior plates. Okay, fine by me. Just build an entire turbine then, why not? And then, once we've gotten this up and running, we'll be able to... Well, actually we'll have to set up another base station before we can do proper full-blown testing. I can get rid of that. And up you go. There we are. Okay. What does the battery say now? Battery says it'll be fully recharged in 12 hours. Current stored power 1.05 megawatts. So the question we have is that these don't need to be rapidly charging. They just need to be charged enough that in the time it takes for the shuttle to go from one base station to another, it'll have generated at least the same amount of energy that the shuttle has actually used in that trip. So that, essentially, whilst it's not exactly a massive power bank, it's still able to actually ensure that the shuttle has power. Or at least enough power to get to the next place. That's all the shuttle really needs, for the most part. But I will set up one of these over at residential, and we'll see exactly how we manage with this autopilot. Okay. A second base station has been constructed over at the residential district, and I'm just going to rename this one so I actually know where it is. So this should be Shuttle Dock Industrial. And the other one, of course, is Shuttle Dock Residential. Okay, how much power does this have now? Fully recharged in 9 hours, stored power 1.10 megawatts. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so, first things first. From here, we need to make a waypoint for the remote control. So we need to control that. And we need to go to our GPS, new from current position. So, Shuttle Industrial Dock. Okay. Can we make that a nice white? I don't know. Value. Let's try that. For right now, we'll make it... I don't know, let's go with green. Why not? Green is fine. Okay. And we need to fly up a bit, if we could. There we go. We ideally want to be above the wind turbine so that we don't potentially veer into it. That's about 40. Let's say we go 50 meters above. That's a nice round number. There, close enough. Okay, new one from there. So that would be shuttle, industrial, approach. The part where we are when we are about to dock into it. Okay. Now I need to fly this thing over to the residential district. And I am not... I don't have a screen here showing me where my velocity's going, so I'm just gonna fly very carefully. And yeah, I'm almost definitely going to need to build in a midway point here, because this is definitely pretty mountainous. I might need two different midpoints. As long as we get there, I guess. All in good time at the very least. Keeping an eye on the altitude reading. Don't want that going below, like, 50. Oh boy, it's getting close sometimes. I don't think this should go to the chalet, but we'll certainly be adding something by the chalet later on. So we're going to want to dock at the residential district, and then just as before, we're going to want to make a pair of GPS coordinates. Oh, I don't like how low we're going. Okay. Well, there's good news. The connector survived. None of our vertical... Well, almost none of our vertical thrusters did. Okay. All things considered, that went quite well. So, what happened there was that the reverse thrusters were trying to slow us down, and then the vertical thrusters were trying to take us lower, and, the upwards thrusters couldn't draw enough power out of the batteries to, actually accomplish any of that, so I don't know. Yeah, we don't have, we don't have any thrusters, so this thing does not realize that it's on the ground right now. Which, oh well, I'm just gonna turn you off to conserve power, because now I have to go all the way to... Let's see, the chalet's 3.84, that's 8.36, residential's literally the closest, so we got pretty close. But yeah, I have to go get the Avondale with some spare parts. Okay, and I maybe need to think about adding another battery to this, but it probably needs one, honestly. Okay, right, well, I think I'm stuck here for the time being, so, this log is getting pretty long in the tooth as is, so I hope you've all enjoyed, and I'll catch you all as ever next time. Come now, dear viewer, tell me your wish. Is it for money? Maybe for power? Or perhaps you hope for simpler things like bonus content and exclusive streams with your favorite content creator? Really? That last one, huh? Well, that's easy, just head over to patreon.com/lying. Oh, I kinda expected more.